Game day's here, I can hear the crowd. Turn on the lights, fans are cranked up and loud. Red or blue, we wear it proud. Yeah, we love our teams in this border town. Chiefs and Royals, Boo Mizzou, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, KU. Hear that drum pounding in your feet. Yeah, you're marching to the beat of KC.
What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? What is going on, Jayhawk Nation? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and holy smokes, is it late. The Kansas Jayhawks would go into the CU Event Center in Boulder, Colorado, and they would finally slowly pull away a victory, coming out on top 75-69. Now, right out the gate, ladies and gentlemen, I want to be honest with you. It constantly felt like the Kansas Jayhawks were the better team. It felt like they were playing a much better basketball game, and the box score, for the most part, will tell you that they played a much better basketball game. But the Colorado Buffaloes kept finding a way to chip away at the score, and they maintained really staying in the game for the entire stretch up until the very end, even to the last seconds of this game. We're really going to jump in and talk about some highlights, talk about the players, specifically Trey White, ladies and gentlemen. Trey White absolutely went off, and again, got smacked in the nose and had to, stop the bleeding. We're really going to jump in and talk about this and why this was significant as well, because this is a big road win. Although, the Colorado Buffaloes may not be the best team in the Big 12, it really shows progress for the Kansas Jayhawks, who have been absolutely stellar at home inside Allen Fieldhouse, but so far this season have struggled in Big 12 play on the road. So like we said, they did go on the road to Boulder, Colorado. They did come away with a 75-69 victory. Now, I think one of the big things is the Kansas Jayhawks found a way to be gritty without their head coach. Jock Vaughn had to step up as the interim head coach, and obviously Bill Self was dealing with some medical things at home. So we had a different, kind of probably coaching style. I'm sure they have the same mindset, but at the same time, Jock Vaughn comes from an NBA background. He coached in the NBA, so he's going to kind of coach to that style. Now, I'm sure Bill has worn off on him in his tenure so far, but you could still kind of see some of the NBA aspects, and I think that was kind of unique. Something to really pay attention to as well. I think one of the biggest things, ladies and gentlemen, is Kansas really shot efficiently throughout the night. They did go 24 of 52, almost 47%. And they were 8 of 19 from the three, shooting 42%. They were effective with their three-point shooting. They weren't just throwing up Hail Marys front like the opponent in Colorado. I mean, we'll get to that. But I think also one of the big things, too, is we're seeing this team continuously rebound at a pretty significant rate, and they would win that category as well. I believe they had nearly 45 rebounds in this game. And I think one of the big things is Kansas kind of set the tone. They didn't let Colorado really set the tone. Kansas kind of set the tone early with really disciplined ball movement and high-quality shot selection. The Jayhawks were 46% overall shooting, which helped them stay ahead in a tight contest that continuously, like I said, maintained throughout this entire basketball game. And their 42% accuracy from really the arc kept Colorado constantly pressured. And that's where, in return, it would force the Buffaloes to have to come down and shoot the three ball. The biggest thing is that they would shoot the three ball, and I think there was a little bit of, that's something the Kansas Jayhawks have been more excellent at recently, is really guarding the arc. They've played some pretty quality teams that shoot a decent three ball, and we found ways at home to really guard the perimeter. In this game, there were often times where they would space us out enough to where a guy would be wide open and they would let him fire it off. And there was obviously a chance he was going to make it, a chance he wasn't. Majority of the time, as we'll get to those stats, they did not make it, but they did make some pretty clutch threes, again, that maintained them in this game for pretty much the entire thing. Now, I really want to highlight Trey White, ladies and gentlemen. He was an absolute force on both ends yet again, filling up the stat sheet with yet again another double-double. And I think one of the biggest things is that he steps up when he needs to. He steps up when Darren Peterson in this game would get injured, rolled his ankle, would have to step out for a little bit. When that lesser rotation comes in where you have guys like Flory Badunga, Trey White. But then you have really a small, a little less rotation of guards where it's like Marco Jackson, Jamari McDowell, and it could be, another big, or it could be Melvin Council Jr. That's where Trey White really kind of puts his foot on the gas pedal and takes over. He had 17 points and 15 rebounds, ladies and gentlemen. He anchored Kansas inside and really created second chance opportunities that proved pivotal late in the game. And I think one of the big things too is we saw Trey White go to the free throw line a ton. Trey White, I think, was 9 of 10 from the free throw line. He found a way to get fouled, and that contributed a lot to his 17 points. His rebounding effort really set the tone on the glass, and I think that's a big thing too. Again, we talked about this in previous videos. Bill Self was very critical of his guards needing to step up in the rebounding effort. That came right after the West Virginia game. And since that comment, his guards have stepped up and really elevated in the rebounding category. As you see, Trey White getting 15 rebounds. I think that's a big thing. And Kansas would finish with 45 rebounds to Colorado's 33. So they really edged out in the rebounding category. I think now when you really kind of start to look at some of the other contributors, now Kansas had 4 players that scored in double digits. In a market that never sleeps, one name rises above the rest. Lisa Miller from Miller-Lynch Real Estate, trusted by hundreds and recognized across the Midwest. She delivers results when it matters the most. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you are a first-time homebuyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait, your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000 or visit LisaMillerSellsKC.com. But Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next exciting chapter. And let her know the beat of KC, Lucas Murphy, sent you her way. Melvin Council Jr. led the team in points tonight, tearing it up from really the field. He did have some mental mistakes at times. There were times where he would maybe force a shot. He might have maybe not let the set of the offense really kind of evolve. And I think that those were some things to kind of highlight. But outside of that, Melvin Council Jr. played a pretty extremely good game. Again, 18 points. He really helped the Jayhawks continue to sustain their offensive pressure on really the Colorado Buffaloes. Now, Darren Peterson, I wouldn't say he had an off night, but he did roll his ankle. And when he rolled his ankle, he didn't seem to kind of have that same pep in his step. And it makes sense. You rolled your ankle, you're going to be less. You're kind of probably a little bit hesitant on that. He still maintained and was able to get out there after he rolled his ankle later on, but he just wasn't the same player. He would score 16. He did only go 6 of 15 from the floor, but I think one of the big things is he rolled his ankle and he still managed to play in 32 minutes of the game, and he really finished up and finished out the game there at the end. Now, one of the guys I really want to highlight, and although that he didn't just absolutely blow away on the stat sheet, I think one of the big things was Flory Badunga. He had 11 points, going 4 of 5, but I think he was really kind of a wrecking force down low. And it doesn't necessarily, again, show up on the stat sheet, but he was able to really clear out the box. At times, he was able to allow those guards like, Trey White to get rebounds, to get Darren Peterson to get rebounds. He did go 3 of 3 from the free throw line, and I do believe he had 9 rebounds in this game. So yet again, Flory had a phenomenal game on the glass. But again, I think there's a lot more with Flory. His hustle, his ability to, and I think one of the big positives with Flory is he has gotten improved with his free throw shooting. So we're seeing him when he gets to the line, he's pretty effective from the line. I really want to, again, highlight that Flory Badunga had a pretty solid game. And again, I want to talk about that the Kansas Jayhawks had 4 players score in double digits. Now, Colorado fought hard throughout this entire game, particularly from long range. But I think one of the big things is they felt the pressure of this Kansas Jayhawks team. They felt, how this team's really kind of can uptick the tempo at times and really force the opponent to kind of have to play catch up. The Buffaloes attempted 31 3-point shots, ladies and gentlemen. They did make 9 of them, but they were firing an unrealistic number of 31 threes, and they only made 9. Now, again, those 9 were effective moments of the game, and again, it maintained really kind of condensing down that score. And at some point, it felt like Colorado was kind of building some momentum. Now, I think that's where Kansas, as of late, has really kind of rode the waves. We came out in the second half and again hit another cold streak. For whatever reason, coming out in the second half, it's like we put a lot of effort into the first half and we just come out pretty stale, pretty stagnant in the second half. And for whatever reason, the opponent often kind of starts to chip away, kind of starts to really make some progress against this Kansas team. But then Kansas finally figures it out and starts to kind of slowly separate away from their opponent. And that's exactly what happened in this game. I think despite securing the rebounding advantage, Kansas did have a stretch again of sloppy ball security. They turned the ball over 12 times. And I think a lot of the time those 12 turnovers turned into points. And so I think you really got to take that into consideration as why Kansas, again, allowed this Colorado Buffaloes team to stay in it for as long as they did. And that's compared to Colorado's only 3 turnovers. So Colorado really just did not turn the basketball over. They had that ball security. They just could not hit from long distance at the rate that they were shooting it. In the end, Kansas would combine with efficient shooting, good defense when it mattered. They locked up when they needed to. They won the rebounding category. They definitely won the shooting. And I think the big thing is they really kind of took the adversity and ran with it. And I think this is another big thing because it was a Big 12 opponent. It showed that they have toughness. They are balanced. They really can play when they need to. This victory really kind of extends their momentum. It shows that they can win on the road, especially in an environment that was, you could tell there were Kansas fans because at the very end, we could hear the Jayhawk chant. You could hear when guys would make shots, the crowd would erupt in favor of Kansas. So I do truly believe there were a lot of Kansas fans that traveled to Boulder. But at the same time, it's still a road win. So that was a big one. And I think another thing I just want to finally hit on is the fact that Bill Self yet again was not present for this game, and Jacques Vaughn was able to lead this team to a victory, and really with the supporting cast of the coaching staff help Jacques Vaughn to really get this team playing towards the end of the game and securing that victory. Kansas would again add another win in the Big 12, which is big. The next game they will be heading to will be on the road yet again, and they will be going to Manhattan, and they will be taking on the abysmal Kansas State Wildcats, who I believe came off of a decent victory over Utah, although Utah is nothing really to speak of. But we know that when you go on the road to Manhattan, they always like to bring the environment, and they want to take out older brother, bigger brother in Kansas Jayhawks. So we will be talking about that in a pregame pretty shortly this week. But I appreciate y'all checking out this video. Make sure you guys smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. And I end every video the exact same way. Have a good day.